Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the RIFF podcast. I'm doing a little bit of a different recording setup, so the video might sound a little different. And we're just going to roll with the punches, see how the end result turns out. And obviously, if you're viewing this right now, it means I like it. I like the way it sounds. I like the way it's presented. So that's what we're going to do from now on. So, for this week's episode of the show, I figured this week I'm recording on April 16th. In 2 days, Record Store Day is coming up. And it's when record stores all around the country are basically celebrating the existence of record stores and often sell exclusive color variants of certain titles or just certain pressings of albums and things like that. So I figured to kind of celebrate that, kind of coincide with that, I figured if you clicked on this video, because obviously I have the video titled Record Collecting for Dummies or something like that, you might be wanting to get into collecting vinyl records, or, you could probably apply a lot of this to CDs or cassettes as well. You want to collect physical music in general, you may be thinking about starting, but you don't know what to do. You don't know where to start. So I am a heavy metal focused channel. My name is Travis, by the way. I didn't even introduce myself. I'm getting ahead of myself. But I am a metal-based podcast. I talk about heavy music on here. But the advice that I'm going to give can be applicable to anyone collecting any genre of music. It doesn't matter if you're pop or hip-hop or country or jazz or metal or rock or whatever. Whatever you want to collect, it's up to you. And I'm going to tell you about it. Some things I do, some things I recommend other people do, and yeah. So let's just get into it. The first thing that I think is really important when you decide, like, okay, maybe I want to collect records, maybe I want to collect CDs or something like that, figure out your reasoning for doing so. A lot of people, whether it's for collecting, whether it's for just listening to the music, whether you just want to have them as like decorations upon your walls, things like that. It's important to figure out why you want to collect these things, because unfortunately music is kind of an expensive hobby to get into. At least vinyl is. CDs are not that expensive these days, but it is a commitment for sure. So let's figure out the reason why. Okay, now you have your reason, whether you want to listen. If you just want to decorate your rooms with them, put them in frames, or just put them up on your wall, then you can click off of this podcast, because, I don't really have anything else to say for you except for, visit record stores, visit your retailers that carry them, and just have fun with it. That's my biggest piece of advice, is to have fun with it, but you get what I'm saying. So if you do want to listen, whether it's because you want to supplement your streaming with it, or you want to get away from streaming, or you just like listening to full albums and that's what you want to listen to them on. Okay. So I have step number 2 is find your favorite artists and albums and make a wish list. This way you know what you're looking for, because, a record store can be pretty daunting when you're looking at it and you're like, and if you're like me, you see like dozens of options that you could get, and maybe you don't have a ton of money to spend on them at that moment in time, so you kind of want to limit it down. So make a wish list for stuff like that. Figure out what albums you really want to get by the artists that you really love, and because you can just buy records on a whim. I don't really recommend doing that just because they are expensive, but if you see a cheap pressing, then sure, grab it. Why not? If you end up hating it, oh well. Step number 3 is find a decent record player. Now, when you go into Walmart or Target or Best Buy or any of these other places, you might see these little suitcase players that are designed to be portable. They're usually made by Crosley or Victrola. They aren't like, a lot of the vinyl community does kind of make them out to be like the great Satan of record players, and they're not the greatest because they just don't have the customizability, and they don't have the best sound quality, and the components themselves aren't made to provide the best listening experience. And if you're not careful, they can damage your records a little bit early because they do press a little bit harder on records than is what is required to make noise. So keep an eye out for that. I'm not saying completely avoid them if you're on a budget and that's all you can afford at the time. Then sure, why not? I don't see the problem with it. But if you do want to get a nice record player to start out with, the one I recommend is the AT LP60XBT by Audio-Technica. It's a Bluetooth turntable, so you can listen to your records through headphones or through Bluetooth speakers. That way you don't need to worry about getting a set of external speakers, because chances are if you're listening to this podcast, you probably have a pair of wireless earbuds or headphones somewhere in your house. So that's what I recommend for starting out, at least. But of course, as you collect more records, as you get more into the hobby, if you want to get external speakers, just do your research online and maybe watch some videos, because I'm not the most informed, so I'm not really going to speak on it. Now, step number 1. These are the best places to find specific records. I have number 1. These are not ranked in any sort of importance. The first one I wanted to say is the big box retail stores like Target, Walmart, Best Buy, Barnes & Noble, pretty much any major retailer that sells music. Some people might give you flack for shopping at these places in the first place, and to especially buying records from them. But honestly, I'm not going to yell at you. Sometimes these places do have some cool variants of certain albums. And if that's what you want, then that's what you want. I mean, I ain't going to judge you for it. I have no room to judge because I own plenty of Walmart exclusive colored vinyl records and Target exclusive stuff. So, yeah. If you like it, you like it. That's where you get it from. Not to make it a whole political discussion, but yeah. Number 2, one of the better places to find a specific album is either the artist or their record label's online store. Usually there's more options of like color variants and things like that. Sometimes it's just also like the easiest way to find certain albums because maybe they don't press a lot of copies, or maybe there's online exclusive ones. Stuff like that. Number 3 is probably the best place to find records, which is an independent record store near you. It does not matter which one, because you're supporting local business, which is pretty cool, especially in modern times. And again, not to make it all like that, but yeah, independent record stores. Also, an underrated one. Oh, actually, before I speak on this, totally scatterbrained here. The cool thing about independent record stores is that they usually have a very wide selection of genres, and they can obviously have stuff that's pretty hard to find in other places. And if they're really cool, they might let you like special order and like reserve copies of specific albums that you're looking for. But, something that you just obviously have to talk to the owners and the employees about, see if they're willing to do that for you. And yeah, then you're all set. Another kind of underrated place to find records is at concerts, actually. Nowadays, a lot of bands and artists will do like tour exclusive versions of their records that you might be able to find at their merch booth for a slight premium. That, or they sell pre-signed versions of their albums on vinyl if that's something that you're interested in. Usually at a premium. I don't personally like getting that because they're usually just completely opened, and you risk damaging the jacket more. But that's just a me thing. If you want to buy your signed variants and your tour exclusive variants, go right ahead. I have no issues with that. A bonus one, you can look at thrift stores. Usually the selection isn't the greatest in my experience, but sometimes you might find something good. You might find something cool. You never know. You just might have to look. So, yeah. Now, I have a little FAQ section of this script that I'm doing an extremely poor job of going off of because I'm not reading it straight up. But there's a couple things that I wanted to address. The first thing is there a sound difference between just straight up black and colored vinyl? Basically, aka like non-black, so all your translucent records, your clear records, splatters, stuff like that. Honestly, in my experience, I haven't really noticed much of a sound difference between a standard black vinyl record and a splatter or any other colored record. Usually, if there's any difference in audio quality, it's probably more so because of the pressing and the way the music is produced in the first place. It's probably not going to be the actual vinyl that it's pressed on. Sometimes you have, and I'm sure maybe in the past, colored records didn't sound as good as standard black records because they made them differently or whatever. I don't know that. In my experience, colored vinyl sounds totally fine. So if that's what you like, but if you only want to get standard black, then that's totally fine with me. I don't give a shit, man. You do what you want with your money. But although sometimes I've noticed that some bands don't even do a standard black vinyl of their albums. I remember seeing when Stained released their album Confessions of the Fallen a few years ago, they didn't even have a standard black vinyl of it. So interesting. But yeah, the only records that are going to sound different are picture discs and like flexi discs, but that's just down to the way that they're manufactured. And modern picture discs actually don't sound too bad. I have a couple. A rather infamous one is Tool's Lateralis, but I got pretty lucky. My copy actually sounds pretty good. And I picked up the 40th anniversary version of Power Slave by Iron Maiden, and I was surprised by the audio quality of that one. So yeah, modern picture discs aren't too bad. I don't prefer them though. I always try to get standard records whenever I can, but sometimes you can't avoid it. Like with the Tool Lateralis one, the only official pressing of it is on a picture disc. So yeah. Now, there are weight differences between records. Most records you'll see come in 140 grams. That's how much the physical disc weighs. But there are some special albums that are pressed on 180 gram vinyl. They're a little heavier. Now, does this make a difference in the sound quality? Not really. They sound about the same. I prefer 180 gram vinyl just because I like the way it feels, the weight of it. It helps it prevent from warping. But other than that, yeah, they really are not that different. And also, vinyl is way more durable than a lot of people make them out to be. So it's another thing to keep in mind. Now, an important thing is that you should take good care of your records. Music is a very expensive hobby. Collecting records is an expensive hobby. So I recommend doing everything in your power to take good care of your records, especially since they don't depreciate in value like other things do. Depending on the pressing, of course. But yeah, it's just important to take care of them. So tip number 1 is put your records in outer and inner sleeves. They'll protect your records and your covers from getting damaged through just pulling them out, playing them, things like that. Because a lot of inner sleeves that records do come with are just paper sleeves, or they're like PVC sleeves for their picture discs, and they can scratch up your records. And PVC ones specifically, they have this weird chemical effect with the vinyl called off-gassing, where it basically just kind of produces like a film on the records that makes it sound worse. So that's something to look out for. There are some outer and inner sleeves that are made out of PVC. Avoid those. You don't want that. You don't want that gassing stuff to happen. So, but if you get a record and it already has like a plastic lined inner sleeve, then you obviously don't need to mess with it. Then you would just need an outer sleeve at that point. And you can, Walmart sells them. Amazon's probably the cheapest place to get a lot of them. And most of the brands are pretty much the same. So pick your poison with that. Maybe watch some videos about it. I believe the ones I have are Hudson Hi-Fi. Those are the ones I use. I got a pack of like 100 outers and 100 inner sleeves for like $40. So I would maybe recommend those. But like I said, they're all pretty much the same. Pick your poison. 2, this is a pretty important one. Clean your records at the absolute least. Use a brush to dust them off before you actually play whatever side you're listening to. Dust can get into the individual grooves of the records and kind of mess them up and make them sound worse. But fear not. Audio-Technica makes some pretty cool brushes that are very gentle on records, but they do a good job at getting the dust out. Again, you can find those pretty much any place that sells records, especially if you go to an independent record store. You can ask the employees what they use, and they'll probably swear by something similar. Now, how to store these, you want to store them vertically. Don't stack them on top of each other because that can prevent warping. No, that's not what I meant to say. Stacking them on top of each other can make the records warp. There we go. That's a little better. Now, obviously, if you're stacking them on top of each other for like a couple hours, or like you're playing or whatever, you're playing your records or whatever, and you stack 2 albums on top of each other, it's not the end of the world. They're not going to explode or nothing if you do that, but don't leave them permanently like that. Just don't do that. Now, 2 bonus tips. One is to keep track of what all records that you have already. And there's multiple ways you can do this. You can keep an Excel spreadsheet. The way I recommend is to make a Discogs account. This way they actually have a mobile app, and you can scan the barcode of whatever record you have, and it'll pull up the pressing that you have. And then you can just hit add to collection, and then you don't even have to think about it. And also a cool thing that I recently found out about the Discogs app, if you have it on your phone and you shake it, it'll randomly select an album that's in your collection. So you can just play that one. If you're like, I don't know what to listen to today, shake your phone and then boom, Discogs will tell you, hey, listen to this. Pretty cool. Now, a second tip that I'm going to tell you is maybe have some sort of price limit when you're buying a specific album. Personally, I try not to go for more than $40 on a single LP. If it's a double LP, I'll let it slide if it's like 50 or 60. 60 is like the absolute upper limit of what I'm willing to spend on a double LP. Obviously, if it's 3 or 4 discs, then obviously we can discuss that. We can negotiate that at the time. But yeah, there's just, and the reason I do that is just because there's a chance that you could get a specific album a lot cheaper than that if you just look at other places. Unless it's a rare pressing, and then in that case you're kind of just shit out of luck. If it's a rare pressing, if it's only limited to like 500 units, and it's a 3-year-old pressing and they don't sell it online anymore, you're kind of at the mercy of whatever eBay or people on Discogs are selling them for. So, yeah, something to keep in mind. But that's all I have written down. I think that's a good starter for if you want to get into records, or if you already do collect records and you want to judge me, hey, that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. I'm used to being judged on the internet anyway, so ain't gonna hurt my feelings. But if you enjoyed this episode of the RIFF podcast, please give me a thumbs up on YouTube, or give me a good review on Spotify. I will be working on getting the podcast to other platforms eventually, and let me know if you like this more scatterbrain, off the cuff, long-winded style, because if I do like it, then I'll obviously keep doing them like this. But that's all. I will leave you here. Have a good day or night, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!